Okay, this is the tutorial for adding special effects to your voice. So I've gone ahead and recorded my voice singing here. Let me just adjust that a little bit. Here is me. So this is regular with no special effects. Okay, so let's start with some basic changes. If you go over to here, and of course it says Mr. Beal singing sample now. This will be your voice after you record it. If you click on this microphone right here, it says Show Instrument. It'll take you to this screen. Now, a couple places you can go here. One, if you click on this box right here, it's probably on Computer Mic Enhancer by default, but you can actually change it to any one you want. So let's see what happens when I click on Echo. So now you can X out of this screen, and if you remember what number you're at, you could just stay on this screen. It was on 9, but you can always X out if you wanted to kind of go back and find your spot. So check out the difference. Okay, so sometimes you won't hear a huge difference, but you can also go in and try a different one. Let's see what happens when I click on Psychedelic. Check this out. So there's all sorts of ways you can change just the basic sound of your voice. Like Space Face is kind of cool. Sounds like you're in space. So all of these are okay because I can still hear you singing. You know, I'm not going to be picky. Like if you click on lo-fi, it's a little harder to hear. But you know what? I'm really encouraging creativity here, and plus I can always go in and change it myself when I'm listening to the assignment. I can switch it because when you do an assignment, it makes me a collaborator. I can always click on Computer Mic Enhancer to see what it sounds like without special effects. Now, let's just go to Computer Mic Enhancer for now, leave it on regular. I want to also draw your attention to this button over here, Effects. Now, this may look overwhelming, but when you click on it, I would ignore these first two. I would even ignore these at the top. I would just go to Add Effect. And when you do that, there's a lot of choices here. What I would do if I were you is do trial and error. So, for example, let's start with chorus. You might think, wait, chorus, that's a class synonym. But in the music world, in the recording world, chorus means like adding more voices to your voice. So it sounds like essentially you're a chorus of yourselves. So let's see what happens when I click on chorus. Now, you'll notice there's some knobs here to adjust. Let's listen to it. Now, when you hear the difference, if it's not significant, you can always go back to effects and do stuff like this. And then you'll start to hear differences. And if you decide you don't like it, just go back to effects and you can just X out that effect right there. Let's add something a little sillier like wah. Now this one might be too much for you, but let's see what you think. For those of you that like guitars and guitar music, this is like a wah pedal on your voice. So anyway, so those are really the two places you can mess around with. You can either click on, let's just go back a track again. If you click on the microphone, you can either do that and change the microphone itself to sound like it's pop delay, like it's in a garage, or you can add special effects. You can play with all the knobs you want, and you kind of decide what you end up liking. Now, one more thing I want to point out, that it is a little more complicated, but if you go to the recording of your voice and click on Edit, you'll notice that there's some other choices here. So auto-tune is used in a lot of pop music, sometimes in hip-hop music. It's really cool. However, once you auto-tune your voice, if you don't undo it after like, I don't know, a minute or two, it kind of becomes permanent. So I would listen to yourself after you auto-tune, and if you like the way it sounds, leave it. If you don't, go right to that undo button right there, because I learned that the hard way, where I couldn't undo the fact that I auto-tuned. Now, if you double-click on it, nothing happens. You have to click on Edit. So here we go. Don't do fade in, fade out, because then I won't hear you at the beginning. You could do reverse, but let's do auto-tune first. So when you go to auto-tune, you can make it light auto-tune, heavy auto-tune. I would just leave it on all notes chromatic. Don't worry about changing any of that, but let's click on heavy and see what happens. Give it a second, because it is pretty powerful. Here we go. Oh, wait a minute. I just realized I still have the effects on. Let's turn off auto wah and try it now. So you're going to get that like computerized effect. It's like adjusting your voice as you go. If you don't like it, just click on undo. Now, you know, you could really start to manipulate it in a way that it starts to not sound like your voice so much anymore. If you go to voice transform, do not go to pitch and character, because that'll actually change the actual notes you're singing and it won't match the music. So don't go to change pitch, don't go to pitch and character, but you can if you want, maybe just for fun, play around with one of these. Like what if you click on baby? Let's see what happens. It's transforming your voice to sound like a baby. Let's cancel that and go to, I don't know, voice transform. Let's make our sound like a robot. See what that sounds like. So clearly, that's not going to work. Because if you do that, I'm not going to be able to hear you singing at all. So use your judgment to, you know, to not manipulate your voice in a way that I can't hear you singing anymore. Of course, like reverse would be the same thing, because it's going to make your voice backwards. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see the robot effect is still on there. So you have to go kind of undo solo on, undo transform audio. There we go. So because I hit the solo button, that actually counted as a step. So sometimes you have to hit undo a couple times, but if you hover the mouse over it, it'll tell you what the undo is. So that's baby. Now you can always just go voice transform and go back to change it to, I don't know, brighter, and that should kind of cancel out what it was too. Or not. So see now it's stuck on baby. So just maybe be cautious about what you do, because like I would just do it and then undo it unless you definitely want to keep it. So because it looks like I'm not going to be able to change that back now. Let's see. Undo transform audio. Undo transform audio. Undo remove effect. Let's try that actually, see if it's fixed. There we go. So like, you know, sometimes it's hard to get back to where you were. So make sure you, you know, yeah, see, the effects, it still sounds like there's an effect on there. But so you start to manipulate it. You might end up having to re-record. But just wanted to make sure you knew what you were doing with the voice. Okay, have fun manipulating your voice.